Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, we're live at 11:29 a.m. on a Wednesday, January 27th, and this is the best time of the day for a stream. We got some serious market action this morning, and frankly, I talk in terms of stories, and the story of this morning's action is the story is changing. It's changing into the afternoon. This has to do with time horizon, and you got short-term stories and long-term stories. And this morning's story has quickly turned into a reversal. We're going to dig into that data. We're going to see what's going on. We're going to see what caused the short-term bearish price action in basically all asset markets. I saw it across the board in the equities market. I saw it in the crypto market. And man, this bounce is heroic. I just PLL in equities is a domestic U.S. lithium miner, and the appreciation and attention that's being paid to it finally after years and years is absolutely incredible. Just tickled pink at some of these the bullishness and just in considering the appreciative nature of this morning's dollar rally uh, for. Uh, uh, for assets across the board, the trends are overwhelmingly bullish. And we're going to look at this data, we're going to understand it, and look and think from a big picture because that's all that matters, ladies and gentlemen. Massive dollar rally, but has the story changed? Today's episode is sponsored by Change Angel, the non-custodial swap exchange for social goods. Stop depositing on exchanges, not your keys, not your crypto, non-custodial, DeFi, or nothing at all. Bam! Let's pop it over to the main screen and see who's in the stream. Digilites in the house, buying the failed dip. Captain Weber, always a pleasure, brother. Crypto Chicks in the house. Matt is in the house. Igor, yes, yes, sir. Story remains the same. Long the revolution. Well, listen, it's a true statement in most regards. I love the long term narrative for the crypto space. I'm not too much of a fan of the long term narrative for the equity bull market. I think that's a perverted market, whereas the crypto market long term, the story is that of systemic change, technological evolution, and disruption of the status quo. The introduction of a new and meaningful, better technological way to perform financials. And that's, I was trying to multitask all over the place, looking at so much data. I'm staring at the DXY, smack this green line up here, and then bam, it popped right through. And it popped through. You don't see rips like that to the upside in dollar or fiat markets. And this thing popped, and now it is just being like beaten down with the baseball bat and a hammer. Incredible. Hey, listen, this could end in many ways, and the chart tells the story. That's it. It could be whatever story you want in your mind, but the data tells you what's going on. The chart tells you what's going on. And if this chart ends in a gravestone doji, a gravestone at the end of the day where it's a massive wick to the upside and the candle body closes somewhere down here. Oh my goodness, this is the daily chart. This is a long-term chart, and that would be um, rocket fuel for asset markets, broad asset markets. We're talking about equities and crypto alike. So as this thing is pulled back, we could clearly see the inverse correlation with Bitcoin. What's fascinating about this chart is there was two prevailing trends. Most folks, including the large old school macro financial folks, are looking at the falling wedge. I myself have painted the this large symmetrical triangle, and it's very interesting. It's fascinating that it turned out that this large symmetric triangle is now proven to be the prevailing trend formation. That's really cool. It's nice when you see something. It's not often when you see something that many other folks don't. And bam, it smacked right into support. It popped, and now we got a green candle brewing. And this is what is this? The hourly? Let me move that over. This is the 4 hour. We got a green candle brewing on the 4 hour. As long as the dollar keeps being hammered down, I think Bitcoin's going to rally. And frankly, that is what we're seeing in the data. Can Bitcoin rally strong even if the dollar moves horizontally? We've seen the dollar outperform, so to speak. dollar horizontal price action. We've even seen altcoins outperform dollar bullishness. What was it, last Saturday or the Saturday before? We saw altcoins rallying on a Saturday in the face of a dollar bullish move, a bullish dollar move. And that was outright fascinating to see the direct correlation rather than the inverse correlation. So we could have seen another 1,200 point drop to the downside, 28,000. $1,200 drop to the downside, and it would still be bullish. Both of these are extraordinarily bullish patterns, particularly because falling wedge is bullish, and that means it could just keep riding it down, bouncing between support and resistance, going further and further down until it finally breaks to the upside, which would indicate trend reversal, which is exactly what the falling wedge is known for. But a symmetrical triangle is neither bullish nor bearish. But there's overtones. There's a bit of a sentiment, a bit of an aura that I feel gets applied to the trend formation, particular based on the prevailing trend. So I often like to say symmetrical triangles are break direction agnostic, but tend to break in the direction of the prevailing trend. Now you guys tell me. Is the prevailing trend bullish or not? It's the most ridiculous bullish prevailing trend you've ever seen. So this is overwhelmingly a bullish structure. That is just incredible. So where are we? Let's go to the 1 hour and see where we are with the moving averages. So we're basically below a lot of moving averages. So we were on the defensive. Support held, which means the short term story has reversed. And what'll happen is we'll start. Look, 1 minute. There we go to the 1 minute. All right, so we're above the 200 EMA in the 1 minute, and if we start to push it up against the 200, push above the 200 EMAs in the 3, the 5, and we're below them on basically all time frames, and we could start to see some real bullish action. When you're above the 200 EMA on all time frames, we're clearly above it on the daily, which is basically the prevailing trend. I like to look at the long-term moving averages. Some people look at the 21 week and the 50 week, which are meaningful. Those are ultra long term. But I look at the 200 EMA and SMA, and for me, those are quite meaningful. Kind of right in the middle between, super long term and the midterm, like a 1 hour or 4 hour. But when you're looking at the 4 hour and the daily, that gives you a significant amount of information from the big picture perspective. And we have a bit to go in order to regain overall strong bullishness. First, we have to get over the moving averages. I don't have the 50, the 100, or the 200 SMA up. I can put that up real quick. Let's see where we are. Which one do I like? I like Veta. Oh, I got too much stuff up, so I'm out of indicators. But anyway, once we start to push above the 200 EMA, so we still have to get above the 3-min, the 5-min, 1530, and the hourly. We start to get back into bullish territory, but then we still have trend resistance to deal with. But a break to the upside of this trend resistance, sometimes we see it explosive to the upside, in which case there's massive potential here, given the distance between the start, the bottom, and the top. And you're talking 50 to 52%. That's crazy. Incredible, 14,000. This is a massive symmetrical triangle. So we could see an explosive rip to the upside, or we could see some horizontal price action and the starting of the creation of a new trend formation. Let's see who else is in the stream. Igor's in the house. Lithium man. Yeah, lithium, cobalt, nickel, and graphite. Those are the battery metals plays. They were bearish for years. 2017 was a rocket ship. 2018, 2019, 2020, they were destroyed. And we only started seeing life in them probably towards the end of 2020, like maybe November, December, and January, and then they really just exploded. I got some assets that are up like 1,000%. PLL is up like 1,100% right now. That's absolutely crazy. And just across the board, there's just bullish pressure in that space. And what's most fascinating about that space is it's more closely aligned with like commodities, which is not like tech equities and the inflated equity space. So that's a yet to be inflated market. And Confluence. It's also a market that's consistent with the prevailing green trend and the rise of batteries. We use batteries in everything from cell phones to computers to now cars. So a massive, massive, massive amount of battery metals are required to make the damn batteries. So I was in this play since like probably 2014, 15, 16, and then really started getting into it in 2017, and then just got destroyed in 18, 19, 20. It's been years, and it's just refreshing when you see a very long-term thing play out. I always knew it was going to play out with Tesla, that whole story, but I was so early. So there's little difference between being early and being wrong. So I was wrong for a long time, but in the end, definitely holding on to the vast. So I sold a lot of it over time because I'm like, how freaking low could it go? But holding on to the strategic assets definitely paid off. Young's in the house. Always a pleasure. RR, yes. Barry, Mark. Stories are the truth. So the story, we see the data. The data tells a story. Well, part of the story, because you also have, fundamentals, project properties, protocol properties, and social media commentary, social media uh, releases of information from projects, DAOs and voting. So this all contributes to the story of any particular project. Julian says Bancor rewards went live today. Incredible. Yeah, Bancor rewards are literally cool, particularly because they're sustainable. The transaction fees sustainably support the impermanence loss protection and the liquidity mining. A massive amount of Bancor is locked, so the macro story for Bancor is really bullish. So bear in mind that's always the case with any asset. Uh, the price action is mutually exclusive from the story at hand. So as I always say, fundamentals tell you what to look at, and technicals tell you when to look. So um, Bancor is a small position of mine. It's something that I would love to be in a larger position, especially when the technicals turn in its favor in a bullish direction. But as always, you can't fight the portfolio. You can't spread too thin, and you have to have concentrated bets where you think the most bullishness is. And just can't spread too thin. Can't go all in. That's just the name of the game. So you can't own everything you want to own, and there's assets that I wish I had that I don't. I don't have enough Aave. I don't have any Link. I don't have uh, any Wi-Fi. I don't have any, and I wish I had like 10 Wi-Fi, man. I don't. And it is what it is. You have to find comfort in knowing that you've made the right choices, even though it's not something you emotionally want to do. Emotions have no place in portfolio management and construction, and that's just the truth. So you have to do what's right to achieve the optimal outcome, which is quite often contrary to what you really, really want to do. Now, Kyber Network's an interesting one. It was on my radar significantly in 2020. It was an absolute rocket ship. We all went risk off in September 2020. It was an obvious change in direction. The story changed. But Kyber Network is now involved with Keeper DAO, and that's a big deal. But fundamentals tell you what to look at, and technicals tell you when. So you got to watch the chart. I'll take a look at KNC real quick. So I told you guys, folks were seeing these massive rips to the upside, and that's really cool to see and all. But look, bam, smacked right into. I don't have the SMA up, damn it. I believe it was the 100 SMA and the hourly, possibly. But the whole point is, for a real bullishness for real bullish confluence, you need to get above the long-term moving averages. So you're talking about a 200 EMA on the daily. Once you break above the 200 EMA, and I recall the 200 SMA is further above, then you do a retest of the long-term moving average, and then a higher high, and then you really have meaningful confluence that bullishness is engaged. So, contrary to what most traders do, novice traders, and folks that really want a position, I'll wait for this thing to rip 100% to the upside before entertaining a position. Folks are like, oh, buy it when it's low, buy the dip. No. No, you need to wait for significant bullish confluence, multiple indicators in data suggesting that the price is more likely than less to keep going up. Wait for another 100% rip to the upside. Wait for it to bounce off the 200 SMA because it's up there somewhere. Get that indicator back as soon as I could clear something off. And oh wait, god damn it! No, that's not the one I want. I don't like that indicator. But does it show the SMA? Yeah, it's up there. Look, so that's just horrible. I don't want to reconfigure it. I'll just use the one that I like more. So there's the 200 SMA. I just know because of that's where it was. That's where it is. And once you get above that, retest to the downside and break higher high. That means you're in a good position to say more likely than less you're going to have a bullish continuation. Angelo, thank you very much. RR, would you hold a YFI? Yeah, man. Do you see the problem is we're late. If you got YFI at $3,000, incredible. If you got Ren at 6 cents, incredible. Who cares if it drops 50%? You have some bearishness, and what you're thinking about is 5 years from now and 10 grand a month per dark node. So it's late, and the market, the overall market cap of the crypto space really will need to expand to fit a $10 billion YFI, and that's possible over the coming years, but it's not going to rip 1,000%. So we're late to it. It's that's just the truth. And these are very difficult considerations when taking a position. You might love an asset, but what's the likelihood of it ripping a large amount? And this goes into like risk on and risk off. And you're not really going to use YFI for value storage. It's a relatively risk on asset susceptible to market instability and volatility. So that's the name of the game. Yeah, of course you stake it. You stake everything. The goal of what I've talked about for the last however many months, it's been many months at this point, your entire portfolio should be generating returns. Whether it's large returns or small returns, every single asset should be generating either a continuous, a weekly, or a monthly revenue stream. If not, I think you're missing out on potentially the biggest uh, shift in global financials in history, disruption of the status quo, and that's literally you can make that conclusion based on one single metric. M2 velocity is imploding, and the velocity of money in the DeFi space is vertical, and it is the same exact system as the legacy financial system, but better, and it's nascent. It's burgeoning. It's the beginning. It's just the beginning. And look here, look, you can see Kyber, you see that EMA. I think that's the 100 SMA that it's smacked right into. So um, the fact that this DeFi space does exactly what the legacy financial system does with collateralized debt positions, lending, leverage positions, synthetics, derivatives, and all that fancy stuff. Man, that's crazy. That means we know where this is heading. We know it's just going to grow and expand because everything is incentivized. There's yield everywhere. Participation is encouraged. It's just, this is just going to be a black hole for participation and yield and just financial activity. Just incredible. Let's find the next YFI, Noah. Um, yeah, that was Alpha Hamora. That was the next YFI. Yeah, I missed that one. Yeah, we all missed that one. So that was launched right around the time of Keeper DAO, but that thing is up 5,600% since November. So we missed that one. Definitely missed that one. So another one I mentioned it the other day to a couple of folks. Stake DAO, relatively small cap still, but it was just launched 6 days ago. Stake, what is it? What's the ticker? SDT. So it doesn't mean you apply a huge amount of value. If something moves 5,000%, I literally only have $300 in this thing. One and two, it's generating like almost 1,000% returns. But look at the total supply versus circulating supply. Fully diluted, it's already at $1 billion. Sure, fully diluted, it could go to a couple of $1 billion. The market cap's only $11 million. It depends on how fast their emissions are and how much the asset is diluted and how much time. But there's no reason this can't, in the short term, there's no reason this can't go 10x, which would be 100 million. There's no reason this can't pull an alpha and do 5,000%. So, as I always say, the assets that have the largest potential for return and the biggest risk, max reward type plays, you don't want that to be large positions. You don't want to be greedy. Pigs get slaughtered. You want small positions. $300 turns into $15,000. I know you didn't make $1 million, but man, you did something right, and you didn't risk the house. You didn't take a gamble. You did something right, and you didn't over apply to the position. You had proper position sizing, you had proper risk tolerance, and you respected your portfolio. You respected the value that you worked hard to accumulate. So, like $100 turns into 10, 5, 10 grand. Come on. So that's how you play these types of assets, in my opinion. I know there's folks out there making millions of dollars. I know you all want to be one of them, but that's not what I feel comfortable whatsoever advocating. I don't advocate ever max risk, max reward. I don't advocate ever over positioning. It's just not something that's reasonable or rational to do. I always say it. You guys work too hard for your capital, and you don't put it on the line. You want to protect it. Most risk off, risk off, risk off, risk off. You gamble, gamble. Speculate with small allocations that have the potential for asymmetric returns. Bam. Next YFI. Yeah, a pickle could explode upwards. I threw like $300 into pickle. Pickle finance. Yeah, you know why I threw a couple in? Because it's been around and it stood the test. It passed. I don't like stuff that's new. Um, I don't. I like stuff that has some sort of foundation, that has a story that's built around it, and not something that's built around hype. But this has been around and it's been beaten up. And that reminds me of like the curve play. Curve was horribly beaten up, and it was down to like 20, 30 cents, and now it's at a buck 87 with sky's the limit for its macro narrative story. Incredible. Mark, thank you very much. I just got in paid network strong team and advisors. So, the team and advisors you got to be careful with. That's only part of the story. Definitely don't overposition. Consider your risk and look into other factors. Clearly, market cap, circulating supply, max supply are meaningful. The white paper for how they plan to capitalize, accrue a treasury, distribute yield, strategies, their DeFi strategies. These are all important considerations. And just the most important thing is don't take on excess risk. I staked a little keep it down, nice and straightforward. Do you suggest anything better? So keep it down is gonna the staking is gonna go bye bye in less than more time. Monday, February 1st, staking goes bye bye. And then, so that's a threshold time period for us to know more about what they've been working on the last couple months. What do we know? We know this is a project that has an incredible revenue stream that is more likely than less to be scalable, incredibly scalable. So this is the dip, and notice this is dollar denominated. So this is because they're constantly generating revenue. It's just constantly finding liquidations, arbitrage opportunities, front running opportunities, and other mempool analysis, value extraction techniques. So, but if you look at this chart on the monthly, this is incredible. This is a money printing machine. So, what are they going to do with the treasury? How are they going to use it? How are they going to allocate it? I know when the DAO emerges, rook holders are going to vote for a portion of those fees to be directed towards rook holders to incentivize DAO participation, and obviously a good portion is going to be directed towards keepers to incentivize people actually generating the value. So this just is accruing assets. If you look at the Discord bot for their channel, it's just coming in. It's just coming in. It's money, value, asset, asset, asset. It's just accumulating. And they bought the Kyber network asset for their treasury. So there's something going on with Kyber. There's something going. This is a black hole for brains. This is a black hole for the smartest people in the industry to create keepers to extract value in extraordinarily strategic ways from the Ethereum mempool analysis. I just. I've taken the most risk I've ever. This is the only risk on position I have right now. Captain Weber hooking it up, my brother. This is the only risk on position. Everything else has proper position sizing. Everything else is risk considerate positions. Um, That's it. I mean, Ren is interesting because I'm locked in with the 6 cent purchase. So I just, and they're dark nodes, so I have no interest whatsoever in liquidating. So I kind of forget it's there. And I don't consider it either a risk on or risk off play. I think of it as a long term story. And unless the story is incredible over the next 5 to 10 years. Curve was all emissions, just accumulated. And my cost basis was basically $1. So this thing is up like 86% from entry. So I just forget about it as well. And the fact that it's a recurring revenue stream that could be potentially worth massive amount of money in the coming years because it's the forex of the DeFi space. Let's see if I can fix this camera. But Rook is my only risk on play. It's the only one where I have an oversized position, and yeah, it's quite oversized. I don't have that wallet connected, but yeah, this thing bounced at like 300 and change, and now it's up to 338. Probably the vast majority of my position was acquired at 65, $70, but I've since easily doubled the position. Um, Bought some yesterday, doubled the position. And I bought some at 390 and I bought a large chunk at 350. So my average cost base is probably in the mid 200s, upper 200s. Um, I just this is my gut right now. So don't do what my gut says. Do what your gut says, and please respect risk and uh, know that it doesn't always work. Um, but you bet big to win big, but you bet big you could also lose a massive amount of value. And that is just the truth. And what's most pertinent about applying value to an asset that has asymmetric return potential is um, I'm the amount I've applied to this. If I lose it, I lose it. Is what it is. It's not the vast majority of my portfolio. It's still it's over 10% of my portfolio. Probably 12%, 13, 14% of my portfolio. And that's huge. That's massive. I'm telling you right now, guys, that is massive. 14% position applied to risk on, that is absolutely massive. Massive. And that's just the truth. Are they still creating ICOs? No, that's ancient history. That's a ancient history, Digi. Franz says thoughts about Theta. Sorry, no thoughts. I don't have anything. Igor, Morpheus, possibly. I just don't know anything about it. Captain Weber's super chat, my man. Mark, Gut says it should be 8%. 8%? Well, I don't remember what we were talking about. Sorry. But will it be profitable to remain a keeper LP after Feb? Well, there's the speculation. The speculation is that keepers use the liquidity to strategically capitalize on opportune mempool analysis value extraction plays. And that's crazy. If they scale this, if they get liquidity and they have the paths and the channels from Keeper DAO, from Kyber to interact with any asset in the DeFi space, the scaling of this platform is potentially epic. This thing could be, there's nothing else doing anything remotely comparable to the extent of what their white paper discusses, to the degree in which they're doing it, to the competency of the people involved. This is the most asymmetric play I see right now in the crypto space. Do respect risk. I have to I have to end every time I say I'm excited about this with you just don't take on excess risk. It'd be, as I said, it'd be brutal if I got hammered on this, but that's just something I'm willing to live with. Arch Ramp, Rook are doing great for me. Yeah, I don't know anything about Arch. Folks have been talking about it. Don't know about Ramp. But Rook, man, Rook was at $65 a week or two ago. Incredible. Yeah, silver. I got a good piece. Gold. This morning I liquidated probably half my position in gold miners, silver miners, streamers. Um, the market's just really bullish. Let's look at the dollar real quick and see what it's doing. So it's holding at basically resistance. So this wicked up massive, but it's holding here, uh, which is previous high. So the previous high is holding as resistance. Daily close. We'll see what it does. Bullishness, bearishness. The market is what it is. The market tells the story. Let's go back to Bitcoin, BTC USD. Blah 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 blah. I appreciate it. I really do. It means a lot to me. I hope I help you guys. Let's um let's zoom in. Zoomy, 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 zoomy. So this is the daily. Let's go back to the 4 hour. We see that candle with the green candle. All right. So the market's slow right now. So what's we're in a period of indecisiveness, with the dollar's figuring out what the heck it's going to do. Equities markets are probably pushing to the upside because the dollar is stabilized, trending horizontal on the relative short-term time frames. But this is indecision time. So this morning when we were pushing up against resistance, it was kind of indecision time, and then there was a massive breakout. But now it's like, is it really going to go down? And folks are resistant. They're resistant to pile into equities and crypto because they're tepid. They're nervous. Is the dollar really going to go down, or are we clear? Is it safe to go outside yet? Kind of stuff. That's what it is. France, my man. Um, yeah. So Digilite, yeah, silver, gold, good deal. Definitely reasonable to have a good piece in them. It's just good for a diversified portfolio. Um, the potential is huge. That's just is what it is. As they continue to debase the currency, considering the China narrative and how basically China is attacking global fiat with their digital yuan and the BSN narrative and integration with Cosmos and IrisNet as their interop solution. Man, Captain knows about that story. But yeah, but that's a couple years out. Just remember time horizon. What's going to pop now versus what's going to pop in a couple years. And that's like the Digibyte story. Digibyte, if anything, is probably a year out, 2 years, 3 years. Who knows? I mean, it's like not tomorrow. I don't see any reason for it to pop tomorrow. And to such a degree that I don't even have to pull up the chart. And just like we talk about the Kyber chart, you wait for something to get above the long-term moving averages, like a 200 EMA or SMA in the daily, and then you could apply risk on, knowing that it's more likely than less that you're going to have continued price appreciation. Here's the Rook chart. So Rook had me really nervous. Look at that candle. Look at that bottom right there on trend support. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So I'm sitting here this morning trying to excuse me. Sorry guys. I'm sitting here this morning trying to actually do work, and yeah, I'm watching this thing push up against support. I'm watching the dollar rip to the upside. I'm watching equities react to the downside. I'm watching Bitcoin smack into trend support, and I'm like, oh my God, this is my largest risk on play. And if it broke down, you got to liquidate. But that's the whole thing, and that's the most important thing I've been trying to hammer home with tweets this morning. Then, unless the story changes, the trend still stands. So there's no reason to be bullish or bearish. Well, the trend is bullish, so there's reason to be bullish, but there's no reason to turn bearish unless the story turns bearish. So this is where the data comes in. Technicals tell you when to look. Technicals tell you when the story changes from bullish to bearish. Igor, Blocknet has some of them upgrades. Blocknet is something I've held for years. Ah, so take that for what it's worth. I've had a Blocknet service node for years at this point. I've had a StakeNet service node for years, a Syscoin service node for years, Zcoin, which is a Firo now. I've had one of their nodes for years. Years, 2016, 2017, or whatever the heck. I don't even remember at this point. Just operating for years. So, is it imminently bullish? I don't fucking know. But that's it's the kind of play that I forget about it. I just forget about it. It's not a large part of the portfolio, and it's just something that I technologically believe in. I believe it has a long-term story, and I don't really look at the price action. I just believe that there is great deal of potential in the coming years for them to be meaningful systemic infrastructure. Each one of those four, Zcoin, Furo, Syscoin, StakeNet, Blocknet have significantly strong narratives. The stories are crazy that could be told, and I've talked about them. But don't spread too thin. Don't go all in. As I said, my 15% position in Rook is excessive. It is the largest position I've ever taken. It is an over position size. You're talking risk on asymmetric return potential should really only ever need to be a couple of percent of your portfolio, allocating the vast majority of it to the relatively risk off Bitcoin, which is the crypto space risk off. Because what do we know about Bitcoin? The macro narrative is stronger than everything, and it's going to experience asymmetric price appreciation sooner rather than later. All right, 12:03, folks. Let's wrap this up. Thank you, everyone, for joining. January 27th. 22 people in the stream, 8 likes. Every one of you smack that thumbs up button. Tell everyone to subscribe. I really hope I help. And feel welcome to ping me on Twitter. And feel welcome to ask any questions. And, this is one of my favorite times of the day. So I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I wish you all a wonderful day. And I will see you all tomorrow. Peace.